All right, good evening, everybody. Today we're going to be doing solving problems involving the circumference of a circle. So let's start with number 7. I'll be doing all the odd ones. It says here, find the circumference of this circle. Use pi as part of the answer. Since they want us to use pi for part of the answer, we have to remember, what is the formula for the circumference of a circle? Well, it's the diameter times pi. Remember this in class because we said the length of the diameter, which is the length of the circle going through the center from end to end, multiplied to 3.15, which means it goes around the circle 1, 2, 3.14 times. Okay, and I'm just going to get rid of those real quick. So pi stands for 3.14. We can either have the diameter times pi, or our other formula is 2 times the radius times pi. And that simply means the radius is half of the distance from the center to the end, half of the distance of a diameter. So we would have to multiply that by 2 if we did it. So the diameter already is given as 7. So since they want pi as part of the answer, we can only put 7 times pi, and then let's not forget centimeters, because that is our unit of length. And that would be our answer. We're going to go to number 9 now. Find the circumference of a circle. Use pi as part of the answer. Well, once again, this time they gave us the radius, and if we have those two formulas, 2 times the radius times pi, or diameter times pi. Remember, this time, since they gave us the radius, we're going to use this formula. So the radius is 12, so we might have let's see, 2 times 12 times pi. So this was probably going to end up to be 24 pi. And then our unit of measure is mi for miles, miles. All right, let's move on down to number 11. It says find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 27 centimeters. Use 3.14 for pi, round to the nearest tenth. This time they want the diameter, and they've given us their circumference. Well, what this tells me, since we learned over here that finding the circumference, we can use that formula. We can also, if I wrote this correctly, these two would equal their circumference. So in this case, we're going to use it backwards. Remember, it's whatever my diameter is times pi will equal the circumference, or it could be 2 times the radius times pi equals the circumference. So let's see which one we're going to use. Over here it says with a, find the diameter of a circle with a circumference of 27. So we know the circumference is 27. Use 3.14 to round our answer. So we're finding the diameter here, which means we're going to use this formula here. Since the circumference, I said, is 27, we're going to place C with 27. Since pi is 3.14, we're going to place the symbol pi with 3.14. And now we have the diameter times 3.14 equals 27. Well, how do we do this? Just like if we had a number times a letter, we would go ahead and divide the number away. So we're going to divide 3.14 away from here. And whatever I divide from one side, I divide from the other. I'm going to get my calculator out. And if I do, I see that I'm going to have 27 divided by 3.14. That's going to give me 8.59. It says round to the nearest tenth, and I know the nearest tenth is that first number after the decimal. So if I round it up, 9 is bigger than 5, that will make that 6. So that will make 8 8.6 is going to be, I'm sorry, I got that in the wrong spot. The diameter, that's what's left over here after we cross this out, is equal to 8.6. And since we're talking centimeters, it'll be centimeters. All right. Next, we got number 13. It says the circumference of the inner circle is 44 feet. Okay. So the inner circle here, they're saying their circumference all the way around it is 44 feet. Okay. The distance between the inner circle and the outer circle, the distance from the inner circle to the outer circle is 3 feet. About how many feet is the circumference of the outer circle? Okay, so they want to know how many feet is the circumference of the outer circle. Let's see. But by how many feet is the circumference of the outer circle greater than the circumference of the inner circle? Wow, we're going to use 22/7 as pi this time. Okay, so they want to know how much bigger the outer circle circumference is to the inner one. Well, the inner one, we know, we'll put the inner I for inner. That is going to be, it says already, the circumference is 44 feet. So to find the difference, I need to find out what is the outside. Well, before I can figure out how much the outside is, I need to figure out what the diameter of the inside of this circle is. Okay? So to do that, I'm going to use my formula because they gave me the circumference. I can find the diameter by using the formula diameter times pi is equal to the circumference. Well, if this is true, we know the circumference is 44 feet, so we're going to change out circumference for 44. And I said pi is 22/7. And that's going to be multiplied to my diameter. This is interesting because now I have to, since I'm multiplying this to it, I'm going to have to go ahead and multiply it to the inverse to get rid of it, right? The inverse. So, see, you would normally say you're going to divide it by the number that's here, which would be 22/7 to get rid of it. But when we practice our keep, change, flip, we know we're actually going to be multiplying this to 7/22, right? So when I do that, I realize, let's see, if I am taking this, I have to divide this side by 22/7. All right. Now, what this means is I'm really multiplying it by 7/22, which means I could just say that I'm multiplying this side by 7/22, because whatever I do to one side, I do to the other, right? And that gets rid of all this stuff. I'm just going to erase it here. So let's go ahead and work this now. Well, this gets rid of this, right? And that leaves D. But this is 44 times 7 divided by 22, all right? Let's see, we got a little issue here. Okay, trying to bring up my calculator. There it is. 44 times 7 divided by 22. That's going to give me 14. So now I know that D equals 14. Remember, D equals the diameter of the inner circle. So the length of this circle, okay, the diameter is 14. Now, if that's 14 and this is 3, that means this side is also 3. And now we have to add up all this to find out the diameter of the big circle. And that way we can find out what the circumference is. 14 plus 3 plus 3, well, 3 plus 3 is 6, and 14 plus 6 is 20. And that means the diameter of this particular circle is 20. Now that I know that, I can use my formula again. Remember, the diameter times pi equals my circumference. But at this time, my diameter is 20, and pi is 22 over 7. And I'm multiplying those together, and that's going to equal my circumference. Or I can use my calculator again, and I see that I have 20 times 22 divided by 7. That means, let's see, it says round to the nearest hundredth of a foot. Okay, if I do that, that's going to be 86. So 62.86. 62.86 will be my circumference. Now I've got to take the circumference of the outer circle and minus, remember it's saying the distance between the inner circle and the outer circle is 3 feet. How many feet is the circumference of the outer circle greater than the circumference of the inner? So I have to subtract 44 from there. And that is going to give me 8, 6, we have to borrow one here, and that's going to be 8 and 1. So it looks like 18.86 feet. All right, let's check out number 15. Looks like it's going to be my last one. What is the radius of a circle with a circumference of 26.69 centimeters? The radius of a circle. Remember, we can use two different formulas. One is a diameter times pi equals the circumference. The other one is the radius times 2 times pi equals the circumference. So now that they told us the circumference is 26.69 centimeters, that has to equal pi times the radius times 2. And now I can replace, doesn't really say whether to use 22 over 7 or 3.14, so I think I'm going to use 3.14. So that means this is 2 times r times 3.14, and that's got to equal 26.69. Well, 2 times 3.14 is going to give us r times 6.28. Okay, and that's going to be equal to, again, 26.69. Now to get 6.28 away from r, I have to divide 6.28. Whatever I divide from one side, I divide from another. And now I have, let's see here, 26.69, right there, 26.69, divided by 6.28. That's going to give me 4.25. And this is eliminated, so the radius is 4.25. And let us not forget that's in centimeters, so we'll put cm here. And I think it's a good time to put our code word in. And today, I know it's going to shock everybody, but I'm not drinking Coke. So today's code word is lemon, lime, Sprite. Okay, and now I'm going to erase it really quick. Those of you that watch it know what it is, and I'll see it on your paper. So have a good night, and I'll see you in class.